I don't need that. If the, one of the biggest challenges that you face from school board, city council, and the legislature is going to face is balancing the budget. And the current administration and the Republican Party wants to cut, which they have done. The other side of the ledger is to raise revenue, and that means taxes. There's a progressive tax called the income tax. All other taxes are regressive. Are all four of you, each of you, I guess, willing to say that you're in favor of raising income taxes on the wealthiest citizens of the state in order to help balance the budget rather than cutting services?
I mean, I'm more than happy with that. I actually agree with President Obama that we should be looking at raising income tax on the top 2% of this country, people who make over $250,000. I think it is, I would say almost treasonous, the fact that people after $100-some thousand stop paying into Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, these different programs that affect so many of us. And so after a certain amount, they stop paying into taxes for programs that really help majority of Americans. So I would support raising taxes on the top percent. I think we need to stop cutting. You can't cut your way to prosperity. You have to make investments, and in order to make investments, you have to pay for it. You can't borrow for all of it. So I would support that.
You know, I believe the best consumer of American industry and business is a well-paid labor force.
Yay!
We all know about the CEO of a particular business. I don't even like saying those people, the names, down in Beloit. It's just astonishing that how can that individual not pay income tax? So I am in favor of the more you make, the more tax you pay, because I believe, and Ted shared this with me months ago at a labor coalition meeting, and I'm going to paraphrase, but taxation is not a negative word to me. Taxation is a contract that we have as a society to provide what we need to survive in this community, especially for those that have the toughest time. But more importantly, you know, when I think about a 2-year budget of being $60 billion, it's hard for me to imagine. So to me, it's all about prioritizing what we need. And making sure we're using our tax dollars most wisely. And to balance the budget, when I talked about focus on energy, there's one way to save some money. Because when you consider the money spent on fossil fuels and purchasing electricity from outside the state is $12 billion. No wonder why they want to build a coal mine private industry up north, because they want some of that billions of dollars. But furthermore, I know, for example, of an individual in this community that duly qualified for unemployment, but after all the extensions continued to receive unemployment benefits for a year because the state programming doesn't know enough to say stop. So now, if that's just one person, so there is some waste going on up in the government as well to keep track on it as well. But back to the original question, I truly believe the more you make, the more you owe the society to sustain what we need for all the people that need the extra help.
Paraphrase something that Lena Taylor, who's the speaker last week? Lena Taylor from Milwaukee said last. Churchill's quote about with great wealth comes great responsibility, and I too agree that our responsibility of people of wealth is to help provide. But Pat, I think you made the wrong supposition that one or the other, because I think there was just a redistribution in the budget that could be greatly changed. Corporations, you know, we've owned a couple small businesses, and I would never create a job or do anything else for a tax break. I think those tax breaks are ridiculous. They're unnecessary. People will hire when they have a product that's can be purchased, and you get purchasing power by people having income, and people have income by not taking it away from them through the collective bargaining process. So we lost $17 million in Janesville alone in purchasing power because of Walker's austerity moves. So I think a little bit of the supposition is wrong, because I think that there's priorities that can be made, but I do think it's the responsibility of those with wealth to help out and increase the tax rate. I agree with Obama also, so.
Matt, thank you for the question. I know your concern, and I've served with Tom for 4 years, so I know his concern about getting into debt. So I know it well, and I think that, to me, it's a no-brainer that we need to raise taxes on those that are making over $250,000. It's basic, because really it's about priorities. What is important to us? We have Scott Walker, who announced that Wisconsin is open for business. Does that mean that we're going to give tax breaks that make no sense? We have a company down south, Kerry, that is going to lay off a bunch of people because they're taking jobs back to Ireland. How is this open for business? It's about priorities, because I think we should be open for jobs. We need to get jobs to Wisconsin, and we need to look at ways how we can preserve and save our middle class. We have a situation where we live in a consumer-based economy, and we're destroying the consumer base. How does this work? So I think that we need to have shared sacrifice. We need to find ways to preserve and save middle class, because we have two classes. We have the super rich, and we have the rest of us. And we need to save the middle class for people who have the education, that have worked hard, that paid into the system. Those, America is a land of opportunity. We need to preserve that, and that's what I will